A lot of people are starting to make sourdough bread, so I thought I would give you a tutorial on how to make sourdough bread if you want to come on the journey with me. So I'll do the step-by-step process, so come along. Okay, so you don't need a lot to make sourdough bread. Really, you just need a starter that's bubbly and delicious. If you can't find it, you can ask a friend. So this is fed starter. It's about 4 hours old. You want to make sure that your starter is fed. So I usually just discard some of my old starter or use it for cooking, and then add half a cup of flour and half a cup of water. Mix it together with what's left in this jar. I'll show you after I use it. And then you feed it every about 12 hours, but it needs to be 4 to 12 hours from the last feed when you use it. So next we're going to turn on the scale and we will zero it. So you're gonna add 50 grams of your starter. You'll get so you can just, close enough. Okay, 50 grams. Okay, so next you're gonna get just warm water. You don't want it hot. You want it like baby bath warm. Sorry. So fill up your water. Now you go back to your scale. Clear your scale. And we want 350 grams of warm water. Okay, and then I reserve this water to add to my starter for next time. Okay, and then the last step is 500 grams of all-purpose flour. We're gonna add 500 grams of flour. There we go. If you get too much, just take a little off. Okay. All right. And then we'll add a teaspoon of salt and then mix this all together. And I'll post the recipe next for you. Okay, so you've got everything mixed, and then you're just gonna mix this together. And I highly recommend one of these bread mixing spatulas. They are wonderful. So just incorporate all this together, and then I'll show you the next step. So this is all mixed up. You can leave it just like this if you want to, or if you want to make it a little bit more bubbly, you can knead it together until it passes the window pane test. What the window pane test is, if you pull on your dough, it would stick to a window pane. So you have two options. I'm gonna knead it a little bit more, but you can just stop at this step. As you're beginning, I would just stop here and cover with a warm towel for 30 minutes. But I'll show you what it looks like when I knead it, so I'll be right back. So I incorporated my dough just a little bit better to make it nicer, and now I'm going to put a warm, so this is just warm water. I got the towel wet and wrung it out. Don't mind the noise. And now I'm just going to cover this for about 30 minutes to let it start its process. And then we'll come back and do what's called a stretch and fold to get a little bit more air into the dough. And we'll do that one more time. And then you'll just leave this for about 12 hours. So I'll be back in about 30 minutes. So in sourdough, there are two types. The one is fed sourdough. It's active and bubbly, not very old. After about 12 hours, it will then turn into unfed or discarded sourdough. So this cup is all my discard from the week. So every time I feed this one, I pour off into this one. and then I collect it over the week and make different things with it. This needs to be stored in the refrigerator, and be sure you always have a lid on it so it doesn't absorb any smells in your refrigerator. From my reading, you can keep this, the discard, for about 2 weeks in the refrigerator. So there are a million things you can make with discarded sourdough, different types of breads, cookies, waffles, pancakes, but all sorts of things. So just look up discarded sourdough recipes. What I'm going to make for this is a sandwich bread, and I will use some yeast. So this doesn't have enough active ingredient in it to rise any of your bread or anything you make. So you'll usually end up using yeast or baking powder to rise whatever ingredient you're making. So, but it really gives it the sour flavor. So that's why you keep the discard. It's going to give it a sour flavor and can help with the longer fermentation. If you have any questions, I'm learning this process too, so I would love to learn along with you, but I hope you enjoy bread making. Okay, so my original dough sat for about 30 minutes, and I'm going to do stretch and fold. This is just going to get some more air in your dough and make a really nice dough to rise. And then after I do this, I'll leave it on the counter for anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. Do this about, 20 to 30 times. So I'll keep doing this and show you what my final product looks like. And score it and bake it. So come back tomorrow. All right, so day 2 in our sourdough making bread process. This has been sitting since yesterday at about 3 o'clock, so it got a really nice long ferment. Look how bubbly it is, and you can see that it's still good because it's not fallen in order to get it out of the bowl. But be really careful as you're doing this, because look at all these bubbles. You don't want to deflate your bubbles as you're going around. So I'll get it out of the bowl and then I'll show you the next step. But before I do, make sure you have a lightly floured surface. You can also flour your batten a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so I'll get it out of the bowl and I will show you next step. Okay, so I have it out on the countertop and I'm just making sure there's flour underneath all of the bread because you can see it's still pretty sticky. So I'm just making sure it's not going to stick to my countertop. And then we're going to just spread it out a little bit. We're creating a rectangle. And then we're going to envelope fold. So start at the top, pull it away, do it in a third. Pull it away and flip it over. And then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to roll it. Stretch and roll, stretch and roll. Okay. And then you can get your little scraper and you just tuck all the sides underneath. Your dough is going to be, okay. The last step, you want to make sure you get a little bit of flour on your hands, and we're going to create surface tension to make a nice round ball. So just pulling it across the surface of your countertop. And I really like this circular method, so I'm pulling it in a circle as I go around.
Good night.
And you can start seeing some of those bubbles coming present in your dough. Okay. All right. So just keep doing this until you get it how you want it. Okay. Stop filming. Come on.
So you want it a ball.
Okay, so you got it shaped in a nice circle. I'm gonna pick it up and place it in my batten. Okay, and then we'll cover this with plastic while our oven is warming. I have my oven set to 425, and I have my cast iron in there warming. So you want your cast iron to warm for about a half an hour to an hour. Let this rise in the batten for a little bit of a second rise and shaping, and I will come back to show you how to score your dough. Your side and cut to vent it. I'm going to do a little hashtag today. So okay, so once you score it however you want it, and then I'll just put it in the Dutch oven that's been warming in my oven, and I will cook this for 30 minutes covered and 20 minutes uncovered. Okay, so I actually ended up doing this for 17 minutes, but there is the finished product. I was trying to get it crackles when it's done, but you can't quite hear that. So I will just set this on a cooling rack for